And we are live. And guess what? We have a theme song. So let's cue it up and let's listen.
Oh, it's time to get real.
It's a new experience.
Yeah, keep your ears open.
Reality, spirituality.
Got a question for RL?
That's me.
It's time to get some answers, baby.
Oh, now we getting real.
Time to get down. Yeah, you gonna
Feel good now, real good. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality Radio. And today's topic is separating the human from the mind. I'm your host, happiness specialist, Rebecca L. Norrington. That's right. You have to include the L. And before I start the show, I just want to just share. I got a lot of new people listening, a lot of emails. Thank you and welcome. Put your seatbelts on because this show does require seatbelts. Sometimes a hazmat suit, sometimes a helmet. Woo! The truth about happiness. The truth about happiness is it is a practiced skill like anything else, from being a chef, an athlete, a musician, a landscaper. It is a skill. And what I share on this show is what to practice, what to eliminate. And it starts with eliminating program behaviors. And in fact, really quickly, since I'm on the topic, Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. This is on Amazon. And in this book, I list 56 program behaviors that have been proven to subtract from happiness. I mean, scientifically guaranteed, like Charles Barkley, I guarantee proven to subtract. But also in the book, I list 26 behaviors that you can practice that will add to your happiness. And let me be very clear. When I say happiness, I'm not talking about, oh, something happens and now I'm happy. Whoop. No, I'm talking about how do you maintain and how do you sustain an energy of contentment and peace regardless of what happens. Now, I get a lot of pushback on that. Well, what does that mean? You just have to, live in a cave and you don't know what's going on. No, you can still accomplish, you can still achieve all the goals, all these humanly goals that you feel inspired to I said accomplish already, to accomplish. However, you can be rooted in contentment. You can be rooted in peace. You can be rooted into this energy and this vibration of balance and still maintain. So there's no ups and downs and highs and lows. Well, there are ups and downs and highs and lows, but it has nothing to do with anything going on externally. This happiness is a practice skill. It is a frequency. It is an energy. It is a personal vibration. And how do you maintain that? With practice. So questions. Can other people hurt your feelings? Either answer yes or no. Can other people hurt your feelings? Can other people offend you? Can other people disappoint you? That's a big one. I was disappointed. Well, the only reason why someone is disappointed is because they have expectations. And that is a program behavior, having expectations. Well, isn't that normal? It's normal to have expectations. No, it's a program to have expectations. Do you blame other people for how you feel? Yes or no? Do you blame your circumstances for how you're feeling? And what I'm here to tell you, what no one is telling you, is that this contentment, this happiness, peace is a practice, and you can maintain an energy that is calm and peaceful. Let me give you an analogy. You are, and I haven't used this in a long time, but I used to use it a lot. You are in a rowboat all by yourself in the middle of the ocean, And now the ocean with the waves and the tsunamis and the turbulence of things that are on the surface. But guess what? You're sitting in that rowboat and you are calm. You are at ease. You are at peace. Because nothing that happens on the surface of that ocean affects your whatever's going on internally. It starts from the inside. This external, I know, because people, scratch that, programmed people are moved, really are puppets to the external. And I'm here to tell you, break free, break out. There is not a reason to be a slave to the mind. And the mind, this constant, incessant voice has nothing to do with your peace. The mind is separate. You are not the mind. You are not your stories. And in fact, you're more. As soon as you're born, you're given a nationality, a name, a religion, a race, a culture. Then you spend the rest of your life identifying with that program. And I'm here to tell you that you are more than your programming. But it's a lonely job because all of the work, all of the practice is done in the mirror, and it's a very small percentage of people. In fact, it's less than 2%, but I say 2%, but it's less than 2% of people that are willing to, no, I'm not going to say willing, that are able to take this journey, this deep journey within. And it is uncomfortable, I promise you, it is an uncomfortable journey. Who wants to feel uncomfortable? Who wants to be uncomfortable? Especially the mind? The mind looks for comfort in every turn, in every place. And the mind looks for comfort, but the other thing that the mind does is lie. Talking about lies these days, lie. The mind lies. The mind never spits out the truth. Unless you are, this isn't about a scientific experiment or coming up with a formula. No, this is about the stories that the mind is constantly creating. In my mind too, constantly creating. But I'm here at 70 years old. Don't tell anybody I'm 70. At 70 years old, I'm here to tell you that you can, with practice and patience, and with practice, and also with wanting and desiring to elevate, wanting and desiring to transcend. The mind is a broken GPS. Let me put it like that. Broken GPS. The topic of today's show. Well, let me back up a little bit. As I always mention this at the beginning of the show, Google the 5 most common regrets of the dying. The 5 most common regrets of the dying. The 5th regret, this was done by a hospice nurse decades ago. And she asked her patients that had days to live, weeks to live, months to live, what are your 5 biggest regrets? What are your 5 biggest regrets? And the 5th regret of these people that have it's just a matter of days until they leave this planet. Scratch that. It's just a matter of days before their human side dies. The spiritual side, the energy side lives on. Energy cannot be destroyed and or created. So there is, so there is, so they were asked what were their 5 biggest regrets. And the 5th regret is, I wish I would have been happier. I wish I would have been happier. And that's where I come in. And I've been hosting this show for over 15 years. And the show has evolved just like its host has evolved. And right now it is, I'm on in the 4th quarter, and the commercials have already been played, the 4th quarter of life. And I'm here to tell you what's it all about, Alfie? It is about transcending the mind. It is about breaking out the mind's prison. It is about breaking out of that jail cell that the mind keeps every single programmed person in. The mind will have you convinced that it's true. The mind will have you convinced that one perspective, because pay attention, the mind only offers one perspective. Just one. That's why that's how you know it's the mind. And well, what's wrong with that? The conclusions, the theories, the analysis comes from the mind, cannot be trusted. So the topic of today's show is separating the human from the mind. And if you value, if you care about, if you desire, if you crave peace and contentment more than anything else, more than fame, more than money, more than relationships, more than health. Did she say more than health? Yes, she did. More than health. It's separating yourself from the mind. That's the practice. The practice of separating your mind from the human. And in fact, let me just say I got a really good video. Let me see. Hold on a second. Hold on. Okay. I think this is only a minute. I don't know how corny this is. Listen, I'm from another generation. The highest form of intelligence is not what you think. Hold on. I'm going to play this.
The highest form of intelligence isn't IQ. It isn't memory. It isn't speed. It isn't talent. It is something most people never even discover. It is called metacognition. Thinking about your own thinking. Most people live their entire life on autopilot. They react without realizing they are reacting. They feel without knowing why they feel. They think without ever questioning the thought. But when you develop metacognition, something shifts permanently. You stop being controlled by your thoughts. You start watching them like a silent observer. Your prefrontal cortex activates. The most evolved part of your brain switches on. You create space between stimulus and response. In that space is your power. In that space is your freedom. The people who quietly outgrow everyone around them are not luckier. They are not smarter. They simply learned to watch themselves think. Develop metacognition, and you will never think the same way again.
The space between the thought and the action, the space between the thought and the response. You are either responding or you are reacting to life. You are either responding or you are reacting. And the reacting is a program. The instant reacting, you know how triggers feel? I'm triggered, buttons are pushed. That is a programmed reaction. But there is another space to live, to experience this life, where the say you're triggered or your button is pushed, and you sit with it, because one of the things that we know for sure is that all triggers and all buttons are from the past, and all triggers and our buttons are part of a program. So you are either living this life as a programmed robot, or you are transcending the mind. I know it's a difficult concept to understand, to grasp, and then to practice, but I'm here to tell you it is freedom maximized. And when I say freedom, I mean freedom. Listen, you're still going to feel all of the emotions. You're still going to get hot. You're still going to be triggered. But where is that quote? Oh no, don't tell me I don't have the quote in front of me. I took a picture of it. Here we go. Oh, I'm so glad I took a picture of it. Hold on, let me find it. Hold on. Let me find it, because thank goodness I took a picture. Hold on, audience. Hold on. Where are my pictures? There they are. Okay, here we go. Listen to this. Your emotions are information about how you are feeling. Your emotions are information about how you are feeling, not instructions on how you need to behave. Your emotions are information about how you feel, not instructions on how you need to behave. Nobody is teaching this. Nobody is sharing this. I didn't learn this. I'm 70 years old. Don't tell anybody. If you tell anybody I'm 70, I didn't learn any of this. And in fact, at this stage, I don't even label the emotions. I say let me say this, because labeling anything, all labels subtract from happiness. And when I say labels, good, bad, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling lonely, I feel disappointed. How about just saying I'm feeling? Because I am human, I'm feeling, period. The practice comes from not attaching a story to the reason why you are feeling any kind of way. You're human, you're on this planet, you are going to feel a variety, not only a variety, from A to Z emotions. But the programming is to label. So the practice is to live in a neutral state. And what does that mean? Neutral state. What are you talking about? So because I used to label my emotions too. When I lived in Oregon, in the middle of the forest for almost 5 years, especially by myself, there was a lot of I'm lonely. I'm all by myself. That whole lonely program. When I talk about programs, just know that it is just like you have to program a computer. When I talk about programs, these programs are so deep you don't even realize that you have been held, that you are captive, that you are a prisoner of a program. You are a prisoner of a program to look for the bad. You are a prisoner. Well, let me just do this. Hold on a second. Program behaviors. And I said in the book, Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. In this book, I list 56 program behaviors, and they're different levels. Level 1 for the civilians, level 2, and level 3. One of the deepest programs is thinking or believing that anything is serious or anything is important. And I get it, because the world labels what's serious and what's not. and again, know that you can still do your little doing, do whatever you want to do, but know that, but if you are doing, if you scratch that, accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. However, you can do that cleanly without the programs. There's someone that I follow online. I really, really like this kid. I really like him. He's brilliant, very smart, very controversial, very, very politically incorrect. And there was there's a little back and forth. He's having a conflict with one of his close buddies. And he said, yeah, he really disappointed me. It hurt my feelings. Well, the truth is, disappointment only comes from having expectations. And having expectations is another program. And having expectations is a level 4 programming. You want to be free. You want to eliminate all disappointment and heartbreak for the rest of your life. Eliminate the expectations. I've had people in my life for 15 years. Close people. But I don't expect them there. Well, I used to, but I don't expect them to behave any other way than how they're going to behave. In other words, when I put all of my hope, trust in a person, in a human, I will always be disappointed because they're human. Humans can only be human. Now you're going to say, well, you're human. No, I'm not. I look like I'm human, but it's beyond, and I am human, but it's beyond the humanness. This place to live, this way of living is beyond humanness. It's beyond what people say. Well, that's normal. In fact, when I ask the question, do you worry? If I ask people, do you worry? Because worrying is another program behavior. And I ask people if they worry, and the answer is from, yeah, everybody worries, to, yeah, that's normal. No, it's not. Worrying is just another example of a program behavior, and that's level 1. Level 1. You want to hear some levels? You want to hear? Here we go. Level 2. Level 2. This is level 2 behaviors. This is level 2 program behaviors that subtract from happiness. Number 2. Level 2. Noticing what someone else is doing. Wanting someone else to think what you think is important. Let me read that one again. Wanting someone else to think what you think is important is important. Sharing bad news, all expectations, living in the past, living in the future, all judgments. Getting embarrassed. You know, that whole getting embarrassed. The only reason why people get embarrassed is because they care about what someone else thinks. That's just another program, a very deep, active program. Allowing your ego, allowing the mind to dictate your words and your behavior. That's another program. Paying attention to numbers. I know you got to pay attention to the likes. You got to pay attention to the shares. You have to pay attention to the amount in the bank account. I get it. You have to pay attention to the friends. How many friends? How many likes? How many views? I'm here to tell you, if I get 1 view or 0 views, it matters not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to my internal state. Whatever happens outside has nothing to do with what's going on inside. Outside can be chaos. Inside is always going to be peaceful with practice and with patience. A lack of acceptance. This is another big level 2 program behavior. Lack of acceptance. Having an agenda. That's a big one. Having an agenda, that means that having an agenda with the person. Yeah, I want this person to either change their behavior. I want this person to learn this lesson. I want to teach this person. I want to teach them because, they really need my help. They really need my help having an agenda with someone else. And I have deleted hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of texts now, especially now that I just don't send. Why? Because there is an agenda behind the text. So if I have an agenda, I can feel it, I can sense it. I'm not going to send the text. Now, did I say that I was perfect? Did I say that I mastered this? Absolutely not. But the awareness is the work. Separating the human from the mind is the ultimate destination for the purest, the cleanest, the clearest, the most all-consuming peace and contentment. And again, when I say contentment, it is an energy of contentment. It is a vibration of peace. The outside world, the external world, whether you get your hamburger, you order your hamburger rare and you get it well done, it's not going to affect the internal. You're not going to crash out, as the kids say. You're not going to crash out over anything external. Nothing. Well, that sounds like you're just a zombie. No. In fact, you feel life starts entering every cell, and you feel life in every pore. It just becomes, the journey becomes juicier. The journey becomes like excuse me for you vegans and you people that don't eat steak, a juicy steak that just melts in your mouth, or a nice salad, or blueberries. I'm trying to think of organic. Trying to think of vegan and or vegetarian, or the juiciest, sweetest blueberries, or the juiciest peach. Oh, my mouth is watering now. This practice is not easy. Separating the human from the mind is not easy, but it is a necessity. And if you don't get it, and if it's not, oh gee, what kind of craziness is this? Then you're not going to experience the peace and the happiness and the joy and the contentment as much. You may have moments, but as far as I'm concerned, for how many, maybe a decade, 2 decades, I'm good with just 1 decade. At 70, I'm good with 1 decade left. I'm good. I don't care. This whole thing, this whole experience right here on earth is a simulation anyway. It's an illusion anyway. Separating the human from the mind is a necessity if you want to experience more peace. But most program people are so entwined and so caught up in being the mind and being, oh yeah, the mind, that's me. So caught up and so deeply programmed to believe. Do you know, there's a really good friend of mine at the gym, and he says the word try a lot. He says the word but. He says but almost, I would say 98% of the time that I talk to him. He says, he's talking, he says, but, and we all know that whatever comes after but, it negates everything prior to. And he also uses the word try. And I told him there's certain words I don't use. I don't use try. I don't use probably. I don't use maybe. I don't use mistake. I don't use sad. Oh, that's so sad. There's certain words I don't use just because of the programming it's just a low vibrational, it's a low vibrational energy. And one of the words that he uses is try and but and sad and just words that without even thinking. And that's what I'm talking about. Without even realizing, without even thinking, you're just words are coming out. Ideas are coming out. Stories are coming out. Where did they come from? How do you know that they're even the truth? The separation from the human and the human and the mind is essential. It's an essential practice as opposed to an instant reaction. Give you another example. You're in the kitchen, maybe, I don't know, cooking, and you're, flipping the pancakes, and one pancake flips on the floor. One pancake on the floor. I'm just coming up with something off the cuff, coming up right out of my ass. Pancake drops on the ground. So you have a lot of reactions. The program is, oh God, or pancake drops on the ground. Next moment. Well, how is that? Sounds like a zombie to me. It sounds like you're in a coma. No. It's elevating past the mind. See, what I used to do is, oh, man, damn it. How about not react? How about zero reaction? How about waiting, pausing, and having zero reaction? How about that? How about that response? And the difference between a response and a reaction is a reaction is a program, and a response is an aware behavior, which requires thought, and then it requires a decision to make, not just boop, 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 automatic. Now, no judging the automatic, no judging the program, no judging the robots. But there is no peace in just being bounced off of this wall to that wall. If there is something that, boy, that always bothers me, that always triggers me, well, guess what? Then you are always a robot. No offense. Some of the other level twos, the level two program behaviors, I already said having an agenda, having a hate, a disdain, or a dislike for any person. And I don't care who they are. Having hate, disdain, dislike, thinking that they are separate, that they are separate. Having a judgment. Is what the mind will tell you. And in fact, you are not experiencing life. You are experiencing the mind. You are not experiencing life. You are experiencing, it says your mind, but I've divorced this mind from me. No, it is the mind. It's not my mind. I love that quote. You are not experiencing life. You are experiencing your mind. You are experiencing what your mind is telling you is the truth. You are experiencing one perspective that the mind authors. You are experiencing one perspective that the mind is in control of. Waiting for something to happen, waiting for something to manifest, wait. Well, when is this going to happen? How about relaxing, shoulders down, and trusting with patience that everything is unfolding when it's time for it to unfold? You know, yesterday I talked to a woman, and I'm going to be connecting with her again today. Really interesting how the universe just brings people into my life. And in fact, there is no expectations. There is no, well, I know we're going to be, there's no future ideas, but the universe dropped this person in my lap. And what becomes of that is all, in other words, I didn't do anything to make it happen. And I get it. Listen, if you don't post, you're not going to get likes. I understand that. So, but that's called inspired for me. It's called the practices is called inspired action, inspired behavior. Not, well, got to make sure this it is. I know I'm kind of getting choppy here with the being clear. There's so many ideas, not ideas. There's so many things to share. This is one of the hardest things to practice, is to just give up, hands off the steering wheel, and Lord, you drive. God, you drive. Because the truth is, God, the universe, source, higher power is driving anyway. Is driving the car anyway, regardless of what you think, regardless of what the ego wants you to believe. The universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it, is driving the car anyway. If you have a plan, you have a whole agenda. It's your agenda. But if the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, isn't signing off, do you think that's going to happen? Do you think that anything is going to manifest if God doesn't sign off on it? And okay, I'll let them experience that. Do you think anything is going to? And that's another reason why I have an issue. Well, I have an issue. This thing about people saying, "Well, I'm sabotaging myself." There's no such thing. God cannot be sabotaged. The universe cannot be sabotaged. What is going to happen is going to happen. You can't stop it. You can't stop. You can't slow it down. You can't speed it up. You can't make it happen. You cannot not make it happen. What's going to happen is going to happen. Destiny, like Mother Nature, destiny, Mother Nature is always going to have its way. But nobody wants to hear that. Nobody. This is another thing. People talk about success. Oh, I'm successful. You're successful with what? I mean, come on, from Michael Jackson, Prince, Robin Williams, Elvis, Whitney Houston, Anthony Bourdain. Who's the other one? The lady that killed herself. Spade. She was a designer. And somebody that's alive today, before the infamous slap heard around the world, Will Smith said, "I have everything." This is what he said. He was interviewed in November 2021 GQ magazine. He said, "I have everything." This is before the slap. "I have everything. I have money, I have fame, I have connections, I have awards, I have everything. But guess what? I'm not happy." Happiness is the ability to live in the present moment. Happiness, and when I say happiness, it is a frequency, it is an energy. You're either moving with an energy of lightness, or you're moving with an energy that's not light. So using the analogy of an ice cube, running water, and then steam. Water has the different forms, from ice to liquid to steam. So where do you think you're going to feel where do you think you're going to feel the most peace? As an ice cube, unable to flow? Water's good. Water's more flowy, but the steam is even a freer experience. The steam is even lighter. The steam is even, I mean, you can feel the difference. You can feel what I'm saying. And to get there is a practice to stay there. And how do you stay there? By separating yourself from this mind. I'm telling you, and there's a very, her name is Byron Katie, and her let's see, let me see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. It's called The Work. And she's, one of her things, which is real, I like it because it's simple. She says, the thoughts that come and the stories that come, ask yourself, number one, they said there's 4 questions. She says, ask yourself these 4 questions. Very easy. Number one, whatever the thought is, whatever the story is, number one, is it true? Is it true? Well, yes. I'm lonely. Say that's a story. I'm lonely. Is it true? And then the second question that you ask is, can you absolutely be sure that it's true? And let's get back to this lonely idea, because the program people always label. All labels subtract from your happiness, your peace. So can you practice living without labeling anything? What? How do you do that? Without labeling the emotions? It is not an easy practice, folks. It's not an easy practice. So what do you insert? If happy, sad, well, I'm angry because they said or they did or he came at me and he didn't call, all of the stories. But how about labeling the emotions with a term that's neutral? Here we go. Let me give you an example. Anger. Everybody knows what anger feels like. And so for an analogy, when the volcano erupts, the volcano doesn't erupt because of a story behind it. The volcano erupts when it's time. So even feeling this anger, how about just saying I'm feeling charged, or I'm feeling electrified, or I'm feeling stimulated, or I'm feeling full of fire. But see, the anger labeling requires a story. 100% of the time, especially when you're programmed. When you're programmed, the stories are endless. When you're programmed, and the problem with the stories, the problem with the program stories is there is never any peace in them. Never. And they are constant. There is never any peace. However, the other thing, because the mind comes up with the story, there is only, I don't know why I'm pointing at you, there is only one perspective that the mind is able to offer you. Have you noticed that your mind, I'm not going to say the mind that you have is only able to come up with one perspective? In fact, I listened to someone that I really like. I'm just a big fan. And the kid says, with all of my life experiences, and he's a youngster, he's in his 20s. He said, with all the experiences, I used to think like this, but now, I've thought about it again. I've analyzed it again, and I'm changing to another perspective. I'm here to tell you, I'm begging you. I'm not really begging. I can beg. I don't have a problem with begging. Why? Because there's no pride here. I've gotten rid of pride. I don't need to be right. I'm cool with whatever you do, the whole acceptance without judgment. I mean, it's a whole thing. Well, why? Because of the practice. And in fact, let me just say, this was in September 21, and I was attending an event. And it was a big ticket, high ticket event. It was attended by billionaires. This one gentleman who started Priceline, Jeff Hoffman, he was there. The gentleman that started that created Uggs, the Ugg shoe, he was there. And there was this one guy, he supposedly worth $50 million. His name is Walter O'Brien. Shout out to Walter O'Brien. Hey, Walter O'Brien, and he's supposedly worth $50 million, an IQ of 197. What else? Oh, he stopped terrorist attacks in the United States. And I wanted to talk to him. And when I introduced myself, I said, hi, it was Rebecca Norrington, Rebecca L. Norrington. You got to get the L. And the L isn't for loser. If you listen, if you call me a loser, I'm cool with that too. I could care. You can't compliment me and you can't insult me. That's another practice. That's another show. But I said, hi, Mr. O'Brien. I said, my name is Rebecca L. Norrington, and I'm a happiness specialist. And before I could say anything else, he said, I would never hire you to work in any of my companies because what you do is toxic. Toxic? Happiness specialist. I said, tell me more, which he proceeded to do. So Mr. O'Brien told me that, hold on. He said, you've wasted 35 years of your life studying and pursuing happiness. Ouch. You've contributed 0 to this planet. Ouch. Ouch. Searching for happiness and inner peace is delusional. Well, I am proud of being delusional, and because this is a illusion right here. This whole planet, this whole lifetime, it's an illusion right here. What I've accomplished, this is my favorite one. What I've accomplished can't be measured. Therefore, I've accomplished nothing. Ouch, 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 ouch. And I'm listening. And he said, I'm selfish and I'm toxic. Now, why was I able to listen to all of those descriptions of this stranger, this guy with 197 IQ? Oh, I forgot the other thing. He's the inspiration for the CBS show. It's called Scorpion. He's the inspiration for the CBS show Scorpion, which I had never seen or even heard of. But why was I able to listen to this man with 197 IQ with a smile, with grace? And I wanted to hear what he thought about me. We'll scratch that because it wasn't personal. That's another thing. Number one, I know what the world teaches. I know what the world shares. Put your seatbelt on. Put your seatbelt on. You are not going to like this. Words innately do not have any power. When you pop out of the womb, I don't care what word you use, the baby is not going to be offended, is not going to have the feelings hurt, is not going to be upset. So words innately do not have power. Energy has power. Yes, energy has power, but a word, letters strung together do not have power unless you're programmed. So whatever O'Brien said to me, the words in one ear, out the other. Who's more powerful? The person that can be offended, the person that can have their feelings hurt because of a word, or the person that can hear in, out? The person that is more powerful. When I say powerful, let me use another word, more peaceful. Okay. No, you think I'm a jerk. You think I'm an asshole. You think I'm a narcissist. You think I'm a racist. Okay, fine. Anything else? You got anything else? You have any other descriptions? I wish I could be insulted. Isn't that powerful? Isn't that? I think so. Number two, it's never personal. I don't care what anyone says to you. I don't care what they say, how they say it, whether they're yelling, whether they're screaming. Now, don't let them put your hands on you. But okay, I've been screamed at, I've been yelled at, I've been called every name in the book. Oh, okay. You finished? Mm. This is a killer. You want to hurt somebody, do this after they've yelled at you. You want to hurt someone, do this after they've screamed at you. Enjoy the day. Bless you. That's power. That's power. There are 360 degrees in a circle. And so my practice is to be able to come up with 360 perspectives for every single moment. It's not an easy practice, but if you really want to experience more happiness, more peace on this journey, it is it is necessary to practice. Oh, one perspective, might as well put yourself in handcuffs. Might as well live in a jail cell. One perspective. One perspective. An example. So you're driving on the freeway. Someone cuts you off, and you have to swerve, and you almost have an accident. You barely have enough time to change into the other lane. Motherfucking, you're flipping them off, cursing them out. But what if you found out that they were on the way? They were speeding. They found out their loved one has just been hit by a drunk driver. They're in intensive care. They're hanging on to their life, a loved one. And that's why they're speeding. And that's why they're driving so recklessly. Are you able to shift your perspective in that moment? Are you able to instantly shift your perspective and put your middle finger down? Now, not everybody is going to say yes, because I've asked this question a lot of times. Not everybody is going to say yes, but that's when you separate the mind from the human, and the human is ready to be offended, is ready to get upset, is ready to get mad, and is always ready to point the finger outward, is always ready to point the finger. It's out there. It's them, why I'm feeling like this, or it's that. I'm here to tell you, let's rise above it. Let's elevate above it. Let's transcend. Let's get together. I need a transcending movement. People that are transcending. Hey, you know what I did? In fact, I was talking to someone at the gym yesterday or a couple of days ago, and he was, because, yours truly is an influence. Not with everyone, because everybody, it's not time, and everybody isn't open, and everybody isn't ready to hear this shit. Everybody isn't ready. It's not their time. I say we're all avocados. We're all avocados, and some of us are just ripe, and some of us, it's just not time. But he said to me, I since talking to you and reading and listening to some other videos, he says, there was someone stole, because sometimes you put out donations on the curb, and someone stole his donations. They drove by and stole it because he saw them. It was quick. And he said, but I didn't get angry. I didn't get angry. I saw what they did. There's nothing he could do to stop it. But the anger didn't automatically come up. That anger that comes up may come up, but it has nothing to do with what happens. It has nothing to do with the story. In fact, if you want to practice anything, practice being more aware of the stories that tell you why you are feeling a certain way. How about you're just feeling just because you're human? We're in this meat suit, and this meat suit feels a lot of different things for a lot of different reasons, but it has nothing to do with what the mind has said. You follow me? Listen, I used to be a prisoner of the mind. The mind was my warden too, until I gave it its walking papers, until I said, you're fired. You're fired. Back to Walter O'Brien. I could dance around. Back to Walter O'Brien. So finding another perspective always works. However, if you're not practicing finding another perspective, if you're not aware, if you're not actually consciously living in the present moment and not aware that the mind is only going to give you one perspective, then you're going to be stuck. Whatever anybody labels you, whether they what is it? Lazy, I said a few labels earlier, lazy, this racist thing, people labeling other people racist. Well, guess who's the racist? It's the person that is labeling someone else a racist. And what is that anyway? What is that? Can you imagine? That's why I don't have any friends. Can you imagine these comments and saying, well, they're racist? Well, no, you're the one that's racist, honey. You're the one, because whatever you see in others, oh, this hurts. This hurts. Whatever you see in others, you own it. You cannot point, label, accuse without owning it first. Or else you cannot recognize what you don't have yourself. I know. Nobody likes to hear it. They're arrogant because you're arrogant. They're a narcissist. I'm not a narcissist, because you have some trait. And you know what? Can we let go of these people? Can we give some love to the narcissist? Because what's interesting? The people that label other people narcissists, oh God, I get so much mail on this, but that's okay. Everybody's got their own, but it's not the truth. Is always the victim. Narcissist always is holding hands with a victim type. A narcissist can't be a narcissist without a victim. And you follow me, but I'm getting off on the tangent. The labels are all programmed too. They're all programmed. The freedom comes from eliminating the programs. The freedom, peace comes from looking in the mirror. Oh, how many people are running the mirror? Oh, that's me. I need to work on that. Oh, really? It's a very, very small percentage. Not everyone is chosen to wake up at this time. Not everyone is chosen to get to another level of contemplation, of being able to see and realize more than what they were taught. This is the programming. Why are my hands crooked? Oh, now they're straighter. This is the programming. But what we scratch that. But freedom comes from here. This is very limiting. You talk about limited beliefs. All programs are limiting. Open, 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 open. The practice is to stay open. The practice is, well, I'm this type. I'm shy. Well, then you're limiting yourself already. And I'm here to say that there are times when you may feel that way, shy, but there's also times when then the shyness is gone. Someone's talked about type A personality, and I'm here to say that the program likes to group, label, put in a box, open, 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 open. Growth happens when a person stays open. I don't even know if I covered the topic today. What is the topic again? Oh, separating the human from the mind. Separating your human side from the mind. How do you do that? With awareness. How do you practice that? with making sure, no, back, scratch that, not making sure, with doing this before you start talking. What am I going to say? Why am I saying it? What am I going to say? You know, this is so funny. I'm coming up with how to do it at the end of the show. Hopefully, well, if people, oh boy, can we get to the solution before 45 minutes? Why can't you just start with the solution right off the bat? That's actually a really good idea, to come up to give the solution before the end of the show, because who knows if people are listening through the whole way. And here we go. You see how the mind has that whole, did you see what the mind just did to me? Did you see how the mind just took over and came up with that? Because the truth is, people that either listen or don't listen are going to get exactly what they need with the show, whether they listen for a minute or they listen for or the entire show, or whether they listen for 30 seconds, or whether they tune in and they tune out. If they get something from it, fine. If they don't get something, fine. Everyone, you, me, we are all getting what we need in every moment. If you don't have it, you don't need it. Practice not letting that mind convince you of anything else. Well, I was talking to someone who it's a rough experience. I mean, homeless and living in an airport. That's the program will say that's tough. But guess what? God, the universe, is working through them. That has to be their experience. That has to be their experience in order to get to another level. That has to be their experience. Same with this life. I had to experience my mother gifting the family home to the handyman. I had to experience the medical issues, the medical challenges. I have to experience everything that has happened. It's part of the journey. When you realize that the journey is it, not the end result. It's the journey. And how do you journey? Well, my favorite quote from Abraham is, you cannot have a happy journey to you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy. You cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. You cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. It's the journey. Separating the mind from the human, it's a necessity. But not everybody is going to be able, first of all, not everybody is going to even be interested. Number two, not everybody is going to survive it. Not everybody is chosen to. When I say chosen, I'm just saying it's just not time. It's just not time for them. In fact, one person I know, 87 years old, is just getting to that level of being open at 87. Now, it was gradually getting there, but now at 87 years old, is just getting more open and more open and more open. And when I say, and it's the same for me, there's no more putting in the box what I do, what I don't do, what I prefer, what I don't prefer. No, it's all no preferences. It's all open. It's all just take me where like I need to tell the universe, just like I need to tell God, hey, God, do this. it's going to happen. Whatever is designed, whatever is destined, it will happen. Guaranteed. It's 10:11. Thank you, thank you, Charles Barkley. Guaranteed. I guarantee. Who did he guarantee? He guaranteed that the who did they play? Oh, Cleveland. He guaranteed that Cleveland was going to win yesterday. I guarantee it. Well, as usual, they didn't. It's going to be Oklahoma and New York. That's going to be a series. I'm talking about the NBA. Why am I doing that? Who knows? Well, that's the end of today's show. Thank you for listening. Reality Spirituality is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. Now, Reality Spirituality is global and has been global, live on YouTube. We're going to be streaming again. I was streaming on all of the Spotify, iHeart. However, after Blog Talk Radio closed down, I got to join another platform, which is going to happen in a couple of weeks. Follow me on X at RL Norrington, LinkedIn, Instagram. My Instagram handle is Reality Spirituality. My YouTube channel is alive. Subscribe, like and subscribe. You can't leave a comment because I don't read them. Until next time, my dear audience, I want you to remember who the hell you are. You are a physical extension of the universe, always evolving, always changing, always growing. Love is patient and love is kind. Be patient and be kind to yourself by accepting yourself in every moment. Be your own best friend. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality with yours truly, Global Happiness Specialist Rebecca L. Norrington. Remember, happiness is a practice skill. And I promise you, the more you practice, the more peace you're going to find, and your experience in every moment reflects on what you practice. Have a conscious week. Later, alligator.